Rams house. Welcome into a brand new episode of the Rams Report by Chat Sports. And might I add, a loaded episode of the Rams Report by Chat Sports. We're going to start this thing off with an update around the situation on Puka Nacua. Obviously, we all know he's facing some off-the-field allegations in a civil lawsuit. Some new information came out around that last night that I think all Rams fans should be aware of. Once we get through that, we're going to hit some free agency rumors around the Los Angeles Rams. A potential Pro Bowl quarterback may be interested in signing with the Rams as a backup option. We're definitely going to break that down. And then lastly, we're going to round out today's show with the NFL confirming yesterday all the information around the Rams season opener in Melbourne, Australia against the San Francisco 49ers. But let's get this going with the situation around Puka Nacua. So, as we all know, Puka is facing the allegations of biting a woman in Los Angeles. She's filed a civil lawsuit against him, alleging that he bit her and that also he said an anti-Semitic remark earlier in the evening. If you want more information around the original allegation and around the lawsuit, you can check out the video that we did on that. We have one out on the channel. But there was an update last night from TMZ. They posted an exclusive video of the accuser dancing next to Puka Nacua after Nacua was passed out in the back of the Sprinter van that was mentioned in the original allegations. They also included a second video of the accuser dancing in the club earlier that night. I believe I referred to it as a restaurant in the original video. It was definitely a nightclub. Again, all of this does not get Puka Nacua off of the hook. This is still a 100% ongoing investigation, and we'll be keeping you guys up to date on every development around it, because I think it's something that Rams fans should be aware of. It is absolutely going to affect the Rams' upcoming season. We're going to keep you guys aware of it. Even when it's not fun, we cover the elements. We cover every element of this team. We cover every aspect of the Los Angeles Rams. So make sure you are subscribed if you want to stay up to date on everything around Puka and everything around this team, including the interesting rumors that come up sometimes, and one of which has come our way from Sports Illustrated around Kirk Cousins reportedly being interested in playing for the Los Angeles Rams. And I know that sounds kind of crazy off the jump. Obviously, there's been reports that Kirk wants to be a starter, but there may be other things that he's interested in that the Rams satisfy. Here's the quote from a source to Brock Vierra of Sports Illustrated. They said, Kirk has made more money than God, which is very true and very funny. This guy wants championships so bad to be with that organization, that general manager and this head coach and the talent assembled around them. Not only for next year, someone with the ability of Kirk to back up a QB like Matt Stafford for a season that is championship or bust. And the more you start to think about this idea, although on the surface, Kirk Cousins to the Rams, just that headline sounds crazy. It doesn't sound like it makes sense. But when you start to think about all of those factors, plus some factors with the Rams, this could be a match that makes a lot more sense than you think. Here's a couple reasons why. Number one, we absolutely need a backup quarterback. We know that about this team at this point. I know I've got some Stetson lovers in the audience. I love you guys. Stetson Bennett is not the answer for this team long term, and he's not the answer in the short term either, in my opinion. I don't think he's ready to be the backup quarterback to Matthew Stafford, because if Stetson goes in, expectations dramatically lower for this team. We need a backup that can keep the ship afloat. If anything was to happen with Matthew Stafford, God forbid, we need a quarterback that can come in and play at a high level. And Kirk Cousins has plenty of track record of doing that. You go back all the way to Minnesota, he was a top 15 quarterback in this league, at times a top 10 quarterback in this league. Obviously, that's a long way away from right now, but last season, he had some solid moments in Atlanta. Hell, they beat us. You go all the way back to week 16 or week 17 last year, they beat us in a pretty critical game for us. Kirk Cousins shows up. And hey, I think he could do that for us if push came to shove, because what scheme was he playing in the game that he beat us, in all the games that he played in Atlanta last year? One that's not so different from ours. His offensive coordinator last season was Zach Robinson. And that's a name a lot of you probably remember from his time on our coaching staff, both as an offensive assistant and a quarterback coach with Matthew Stafford. He was a play caller last year for Kirk Cousins. You think he didn't learn a thing or two from Sean McVay during his time in Los Angeles about what it means to be a play caller, about the scheme that Sean McVay ran? And that was a huge reason why Raheem Morris brought him over to Atlanta in the first place, to run a very similar scheme. Kirk knows it's not the same language. It's not going to be a one-to-one translation, but Kirk executed last season with significantly worse surrounding cast in Atlanta, not at a great level, but at a perfectly acceptable level. And I think you could project improvement with the much better cast that he would have around him in Los Angeles and better play calling, because Sean McVay is the master, Zach Robinson is the student at the end of the day. You're getting the real deal experience if you ended up in Los Angeles. But all of that makes the argument for it. I think there's a pretty solid argument against it as well. So let's get into a couple of the major question marks that a lot of you probably already have spinning in your brain. What is the price tag going to be for Kirk Cousins? If we were going to bring him in, does he want like $10 to $15 million a year? Because if he does, it's immediately out of the question. Like, I don't think it makes any sense for the Rams to commit to a high-priced backup when there are a number of other ways that you could address the backup situation that wouldn't require you to spend anywhere near that amount. You could probably just bring Jimmy G back for like $5-6 million. Nobody's called his line yet, or at least it doesn't seem that anybody's banging his line after Arizona has lost interest. And the other problem with bringing in Kirk, it would now mean, with Matthew Stafford in there already, you have two guys in your quarterback room that are over 35 years old. Matthew Stafford's turning 38. Kirk Cousins is 37. That's not a great quarterback room situation in terms of just like two guys that are in situations where they could get injured very quickly. Obviously, as you age, your injury likelihood continues to increase. You could have Stafford go down, and then you could have Kirk Cousins go down, and then you're in a real world of hurt if Stetson's back in. You're just back in the situation you started in. And the last problem, he's kind of washed. At the end of the day, with Kirk Cousins, that's the reality of it. We talked about the time in Minnesota. We talked about some solid moments in Atlanta. And yeah, all of that is true, but the overall of last season was not good. This guy is not the quarterback that Atlanta thought they were getting when they signed him just a couple of years ago to a massive deal. I think they $150 million contract. Last season, he completes less than 62% of his passes, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks. And again, he wasn't starting the full year. Obviously, he came in relief of Michael Penix. But you go back to the last season in Atlanta, it wasn't good either. 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions in 14 games played. Consistently had a quarterback rating in the mid-40s over the last 2 years. There's a lot of reasons why it wouldn't make sense unless the price tag was bare minimum. If Kirk really wants a ring, do it for a discount, brother. Prove it. How much do you want to come win a championship? How much do you want an opportunity to do that? I think the price you're willing to take would be very telling of that. As the source says, Kirk has made a lot of money in his career, just gobsmacks of money. He will never need to work again in his life. I don't think his grandkids will need to work in their lives. He could do a year in Los Angeles on $1.5 million. It's up to him, though. And now it's up to you. I want you guys to make the decision for me in the comments. Let me know how the Ramily is feeling about this one. Are you in on Kirk Cousins? Are you team sign? Type sign in the comments for me. Or are you team pass? Give me a pass in the comment section. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this one. And let's round out today's show with a little information on the season opener. Guys, I know it's coming. This season, man, I haven't been this excited for a season of Rams football in so long. And every year I get fired up. But this year, man, the energy, it's there. You know something special's coming this season. But we're going to open it. And this one, I know there's mixed feelings about it. We're opening in Melbourne. Obviously, we're going over to Australia. We got assigned to one of the NFL's international games as the designated home team against the San Francisco 49ers. And there's the rub, right? We're losing a home game in a critical divisional matchup that you got to go play halfway across the world against one of your biggest rivals. And now we got to go play them at home, too, later in the season. So, I mean, like, is there some things about this that's not ideal? Absolutely. Is it pretty damn cool to get to go be the first NFL game in Australia at the same time? Yeah, that's really cool. Shout out to some of the really cool Rams fans that I know follow me that are in Australia that are super excited about this game. Rams Down Under, they do great work on Instagram. A lot of really, really cool Rams fans in that Rams community that has built up in Melbourne and just across Australia as they've been one of our designated media markets. So I think it's cool that those guys get a game and an opportunity, even if the travel is going to be inconvenient, even if it does take away a home game from us against the Niners, the dreaded Niners. But shout out to Alaric Jackson on Twitter for firing one off, because one of the other things that came out with this situation was the Seattle Seahawks. Obviously, as the Super Bowl champions, they get to play in the season opener. And with us being in Australia and the time zone differences that came with that, the NFL had to kind of make something work for Seattle to still be the season opener. So they get to play on Wednesday, and AJ found that funny, as I think a lot of the rest of us did, tweeting out they had to make room for Seattle somehow. Of course they did. And I want to tell you guys, go look at the replies on this tweet because they are absolutely hilarious. There's so many Seahawks fans getting in there, and AJ had time because he is responding to every single one of them. It'll make you laugh if you got 15 minutes at work today to scroll through that thread. That about does it for us on today's episode of the Rams Report by Chat Sports. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We always appreciate your time, and we will see you tomorrow for a 7-round mock draft. We're going to be doing them weekly on Fridays, every week until the draft, so get locked in for that. Make sure you are subscribed, and I'm going to see you then.